Welcome to the Hyper Guy Motivational Podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. I have an amazing guest with me today. He's Instagram famous, so this is how I learned about this wonderful man, Rick Loma. Rick, thank you for being here today. Rick is an entrepreneur, a very successful entrepreneur, and he's created this amazing life for himself. And he's going to get into this. I'm so jealous of him. Um, I admire you. I admire you. He's an expert in marketing, public relations, advertising, mass communication. He's a math guy, so he's into macro economics. That's really great on your end. I'm not great on math, so hey. And he has a groundbreaking and an amazing Instagram, Black and Brown Success. He's going to talk about how he got there. And thank you so much for being here. And he even told me before the start that he's a podcaster. I had no idea that he had.
I was a podcaster.
I know that you were a podcaster.
Yeah.
Rick, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, brother.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
So can you tell me where you were born and raised? Tell me a little bit about yourself, because we're going to get into how you became so successful and kind of follow your path.
Oh yeah, well, so first off, I'm from Cameroon. Yeah, I went to Cameroon. I came to America when I was about 4 years old, and my mother's an entrepreneur. So that kind of she instilled that into me when I was really young. She always had me made sure that I was thinking about ideas of what I was going to do on my own, separate from a job. And so, yeah, by the time I was 18, before that, I was always brainstorming into what I wanted to do. And so how the Instagram page came up, like I told you before, I actually started on Twitter. So it was during 2020, during all of the protests and everything. It was a little bit actually it was a little bit before all the protests. It was a little bit before the whole George Floyd situation. And even then, I was just seeing so much negativity on my timeline. Every time I was scrolling, there was somebody getting shot. It was somebody getting beat on, somebody missing, this. Man, I just got tired of it, honestly. Yes, it's important that we see those things, but it's also so many other great things that are happening in the world. And what you put in your mind is what you become. So if all day long you're just seeing negativity, how can you live a positive life? You feel me? So one day I was just laying in my bed. I'm like, I'm just gonna create a page and I'm just gonna post positive content about black and brown communities. And so yeah, I started on Twitter. The first name was Minority Icons, I believe. Yeah, so I started on Twitter. I was working on that, and then it was my mom who said to branch out to Facebook and stuff, Facebook, Instagram, and other things. And so I did that. And you got to know when to take advice and when to not take advice.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna get into that, because you're a really amazing entrepreneur. Because you were going to school at the same time,
yeah, I
but
was.
but what's amazing to me is that you have a very entrepreneurial mind. I can tell, and so you were thinking of all these different strategies on how to get positive images of people out there, because like you said, you saw the negative stuff. So how did you know what avenue to choose in terms of Instagram versus Twitter? I mean, how did you develop those ideas?
So I started off on Twitter because I used Twitter the most at that time. I actually stopped using Twitter completely. Um, but yeah, at that time, that's what I was just most familiar with. So I used that. And like I said, my mom said to branch out to Instagram and Facebook. And to me, that's always Facebook, especially, has always been the older demographic. Instagram is a little younger, and now TikTok. That was when TikTok was coming about. It wasn't as big as it is now. And so yeah, so I started an Instagram page, started a Facebook page. But then that's when I realized that Instagram, I just figured out the algorithm easily on there. Figured out how to work on it, and there was also somebody else who was doing something similar to what I was doing. What's his name? Quadrell Jones. I forgot his YouTube name, but his name is Quadrell Jones. And so he was just teaching how to grow your page on Instagram. And so I took all his advice. I even bought his course, and I applied all of it. And then, like I said, you got to know when to take advice and not when to take advice. My mom was like, you should focus more on Facebook, focus more on Facebook. And I was like, nah, actually, Instagram is the way. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So how did you start growing well, a couple things. How did you start growing your followers for one? And I meant to mention this. You have almost 250,000 followers on Instagram, which is crazy. Um, it's amazing. It's a amazing attribute to yourself. Um, how did you like put the word out there to people what you were doing? Were you doing? Are you doing TikTok at all? How did that?
Oh,
What
yeah.
was the genesis of like that?
Yeah, so I do stuff now, but I wasn't back then. So basically, like I said, I started on Twitter, and at first I was just posting content and wasn't getting any traction. But I was looking and reviewing like all of my posts and stuff, and I realized posts with celebrities perform better. So I'm like, okay, I want to give small entrepreneurs and give these unknown names a platform, but I really don't even have a platform to put them on yet. So let me just post positive content about celebrities first. People they know that when you see LeBron James' face while you're scrolling, you're gonna stop just because you know it's LeBron James. So that's what I was doing. I would post positive content about celebrities, some history, things of that nature, and that that helped me out a lot. And then also I started using hashtags on Instagram, and hashtags is what really took me over. And then I figured out that engagement is a key. So anybody who would like my posts, share my posts, follow whatever, I always DM them. I don't do that now, but I would always DM them, thank them, ask them to follow me, follow them, like their pictures, comment on their pictures, things like that, and that's how I grew my page.
So I know this is going to be the big hard question. How do you find these businesses, Rick? Like one of the things that really drew me to yours was to your IG account was a couple things. Um, One is the positive message.
Yeah.
It was like every time I looked at it, it was so positive. That really drew me to you. But the other thing was the amazing stories you had on there.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding these businesses? Like, how did that start? And then are people contacting you now?
Yeah. So I'll give a few of the sources I give. I, I get a lot of content from Afrotech. Afrotech, they also have social media, but they release articles, and I go to the articles, and I choose which ones are in alignment with my brand. So Afrotech, blackbusiness.com, um, because of them we can. That's one. And it's a few other ones I can't think of right now. But yeah, so I have a few. What is it? Like websites that post articles about black businesses and things that go on in the black community. And so I pick out the positive content from that. Um, and then also, like I said, as I was growing, now I'm to the point where half of my content is probably just people who like contact me to either promote a business or just to feature themselves, graduating, their daughter graduated, they want them to be, shouted out and stuff like that.
So I guess let me ask you, this is a question I have for you. How do you vet them? I'm sure, Rick, you have some people that you have to be careful that
Yeah.
maybe this is not legitimate business
Yeah.
or they might be trying to manipulate you. How do you determine and how do you choose who you're going to use? Do you do some kind of vetting or a background on them?
Yeah, yeah, it's still tough. It's still tough. There's some posts I've made where I had to delete because I found out something, afterwards, like, oh, that's not true, or maybe the headline that I put, it wasn't completely accurate in that nature. So I'm still learning myself, honestly. there's there's certain times when a post where a page I could just tell is like a little iffy, and I'm just not gonna mess with them. Or yeah, that's pretty much it.
What advice would you give somebody if they wanted? Like, I guess the question is, you must see, because you're an entrepreneur, you must see patterns of what kind of things cause somebody to fail in a business. Can you articulate some of the pitfalls that people have to be careful of when they're going to start a business? And then I'm going to ask you after that, what are some of the things that you suggestion wise that are positive attributes of a business, I guess?
Well, it always come down to execution. Um, and execution in many layers. Execution in your learning, execution in your plan. In terms of learning, you need to be learning the right things towards your business. So especially like when it comes to like school, we've been taught to just learn, just information. That's what matters. But no, you need to learn specific, applicable information towards your skill that can make you a master in your skill. Like I said, Instagram. I focus on Instagram. At one point, I was only posting on Instagram. Now I'm posting on TikTok. But like I got it now. Now I can know if a post is gonna go viral or not, simply because I've simply because of the repetition, the knowledge that I've gained, the experience, the execution of constantly doing the right things, and then also self-evaluation and self-awareness. Uh, like you need to know your strengths. I already knew. I've always been a writer. You know, um, I've gotten like awards in school for writing and things of that nature, and so writing stories on people is simple. It's secondhand to me. But my mom, she's a fashion designer. I'm not. That's not my skill set. So if I started I did start a clothing brand. But if I started like a nice high end fashion clothing brand, like nah, that's just not me. You know what I mean? So yeah, you have to be self aware of what your skills are, how good you are, um, and you have to be self aware of are you actually executing.
What's like the biggest mistake? If I had to ask you, Rick, what's the biggest mistake businesses? Because you profile a lot of businesses, and I'm sure you interact with a lot of entrepreneurs as well. What's like the biggest mistake that you see people doing business that hurts them from being successful?
One thing marketing wise is advertising instead of um, telling a story. A lot of people try and advertise on my page, and they'll be like, "This product is $20 off." Da, 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 da. That's not no. We live in a day and age where every time you're scrolling, you're seeing advertisement. People are sick of that. You know what I mean? But if you tell the story behind why you started the product, you know what I mean, why you started a business, what your mission is, that's how you actually promote. That's how you actually advertise. Don't advertise a t-shirt brand saying that, hey, look at this t-shirt, this is, it's comfy and stuff like that. Advertise it in terms of why the person should wear it, why you wore it, why you started it, what's the importance of it, what's the benefit of it. You know what I mean?
This is going to be a tough question for you here. Who are your heroes and people you look up to in terms of business, like you role model yourself after? I know that you probably have other goals, and I'm going to ask you what those goals are, but who
Yeah.
are some of the people that you look up to?
Okay. Yeah. So I have a lot. Um, and everything always relates back to business. So even if I have somebody who I look up to and they're not even an entrepreneur, but it still affects me business wise. Does that make sense? So first, my mother, of course, like I told you, she's the one who put me on the path of entrepreneurship. I don't know if if I didn't have a mother who was an entrepreneur, maybe I wouldn't be an entrepreneur. Um, so yeah, First, her, because she laid down the foundation. Second,
Well, hey, moms always have to be first, brother.
yeah,
No offense to dads, but
yeah. Second, my grandma, just because. So I've lived with my grandma since I was in sixth grade, I believe. And she's just a boss. Like she just gets stuff done. Um, yeah, she's done a lot of big things where a lot of other people um couldn't be able to do that. So yeah, my mom and my grandma. Then um, during the time where I was starting my Instagram page, I was paying attention a lot to Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle. I was watching a lot of Jay Z interviews. Um, who else? I have a lot. Like I said, I take so much from a lot of people. Yeah, those are the top two. Kobe. Um, yeah, that's who comes to mind right now.
Rick, how do you have such a good? You have a very good way about you. How do you have such a good positive attitude about life? Like you're a very happy person.
Yeah.
And what do you think that came from? Like, how do you stay driven? I mean, are there times where you're ever down, and how do you stay focused and driven and stay up like you are?
Oh yeah. There's lots of times where I'm down. There's lots of times where I have low energy. Um, I've just always had a it is what it is mindset. Like I don't really know how to give advice on it. Besides, one thing that I feel like has always helped me is I take accountability. I take accountability for my life. I'm the reason why I'm happy. I am the reason why I'm sad. You know what I mean? I am the reason why I'm anxious. I'm the reason if I'm depressed, I'm the reason. You know what I mean? And when you take accountability for that, that's how you can fix it. If it's not you, then you can't fix it. You know what I mean? If it's just, oh, woe is life, woe is me, how can you ever improve your situation if it's out of your hands? You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I feel like really kind of separates me from most people. Where is if I have a bad day, like at the end of the day, I reflect on what I did to make myself bad, to what I thought of that made it bad, and like I said, whatever you consume is what you become. If you consume negative media all the time, that's what you're gonna become. If you're sitting down watching Fox, CNN all day long, and watching the Israel thing all day long, you're gonna be sad. Like it's like there's no way that it's not possible. You feel me? So yeah. So one is just taking control of your like knowing that you are in control, and then two, surrounding yourself with positivity. I always read read positive books, read books on how to grow my mindset. Um, I I listen to a lot of positive music. Recently, I literally just cut out all negative rap music. I like rock music too. I cut out all negative rock music. Like all I listen to now is pretty much gospel, some Afro beats, just positive stuff. That just uplifts me and makes me feel good. It makes me focus on the positive.
What are your well, I'm going to ask you this first. What is your short-term goal and then your long-term goals?
So my short term goal right now is actually I want to buy a home next year. I want to buy a home next year, um, and then also so a big part of my life is I'm a trader. I trade stocks, indices to be exact. If anybody knows what indices are, so yeah. So one of my big goals is to make six figures in a year from trading, and then um, yeah. So buy a home and make six figures in a year. Those are my short term that I want to hit next year.
And what about your long-term goals? Are you going to continue your brand? Your Instagram brand is blowing up.
Yeah.
Uh, is that one of your goals long term? Is that something that you want to continue doing? Are you going to expand it?
Yeah. So I want to switch. I'm still gonna do Instagram, but I'm gonna be honest with people. If people don't know this, Instagram is dying. Instagram, Facebook is dying. TikTok is killing it. It was Instagram. It was already dying before Instagram, before TikTok blew up. But now TikTok is really just, you know what I mean. So I want to grow my brand on TikTok. Right now, I think I'm on like 5,000 followers or something like that. Um, so yeah, I want to continue to elevate there. Long term, I have a lot of long term goals. I want to retire my grandmother. I want to be able to fund my mom's businesses. You know, I want to be able to go back to my country and help uplift my country, make my country a travel destination for the world. Just how Jamaica is, just how Ghana has become, South Africa has become. I want Cameroon to be a place where people go and, hey, I'm about to go for the summer to Cameroon. You know what I mean?
Well, now that you open that up, Rick, so tell me tell me all the amazing things about Cameroon that we need to know.
First thing first is the food. We have a great variety of food. I actually just went to Cameroon a couple months ago, and just the is one of the most diverse places in terms of ethnicity. We have one of the most ethnicities in one country in the whole entire world. So you see a range of food, you see a range of music, you see a range of culture, you see a range of people, um, and it's just beautiful.
And how are the beaches?
The beaches are nice. Yeah, I actually went to. We have a city called Kribi, and I went there, and we had a blast.
So let me ask you this. You were saying, I'm gonna just follow up on this, and we'll wrap up pretty quick. You said why do you, in your view, why is Instagram dying?
Just the way that one day TikTok is gonna die. Um, the new generation doesn't want to be with the old generation. You know what I mean? Like I said, my view of Facebook, remember I said that's the older generation. You know what I mean? New kids don't want to be where the old people are. As simple as that. So there's gonna be in 2030 or whatever, 2040, there's gonna be something new that the kids then are using, and we're still stuck on whatever we're using right now. And they're like, yeah, we're not messing with that. So that's one thing with Instagram. Um, Also, just the form of content has changed. Like TikTok, like changed the game with the whole videos and editing and all of that, and Instagram has duplicated it replicated it with Reels, but it's just like I said, it's just not the same. It's like having Nike and then having a company that come out with something like Nike.
So do you think there's always going to be a platform like an Instagram? It's just going to evolve and have the name's going to change, and it looks like there might be little small tweaks. But what you're saying is that generally that basically is going to change by generation. That
Yeah,
basically that the new generation might change just because they don't want to be on the old platforms and they just want to try something new. Not necessarily because it's not good,
yeah,
or it's critical in terms of the content it gives you, but it's just because it's new.
yeah. Like
The shiny, new thing.
even me, my following, I look at the demographics, and over 30% of it is, um, I think, 32 and older, and that's a big majority of people. And if you go back 10 years ago, it was not like that. It would be mostly young people. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's gonna be the same thing that happens to TikTok. But TikTok is a little different though, just because it's a search engine at the same time. So just like Google and YouTube, they're search engines. Like people go there to search and research and look up things. TikTok is putting YouTube in danger and Google in danger, and then,
Wow.
and that's why.
I didn't realize it, but that makes sense to me now, Rick. So that's why maybe you have so many people worried about.
Yeah,
Because,
that's why you see the legislation against TikTok. It's not because TikTok is dangerous; it's because TikTok is taking the business from American businesses.
wow, interesting, interesting. That's really good insight on your part. So somebody can do like a TikTok search on like a topic,
Yeah,
You guys
and that's what I do most of the time. I fixed my sink today, my sink and my grandma's sink, because it was clogged. Where did I go? I didn't go on Google. I didn't go on YouTube. I went on TikTok because it was going to show me a quick 30-second video, get straight to the point, and it will be and it's better than Google because I don't have to read an article and I could just see somebody actually doing it. It's better than YouTube because YouTube is probably gonna be a 5 minute video where TikTok can get it done in 30 seconds.
so let me ask you something, Rick, because it sounds like I know I can ask other people what this question, and they have quite a bit of information to give me as well. But in your perspective, how closely do these analytics follow everybody?
What
Like,
do you mean by that?
you know how you say some people always they bring up TikTok that people can be spying on you or
Yeah.
whatever. How much information do those analytics really give? Do you know? Because
Oh,
you
everything.
every
Everything. So it's like this. Um, if me and you are hanging out together, because our phones are close to each other, they're gonna say, okay, these two people are similar. They're like-minded. So let's show Rick a little bit of what Martin, right? Martin is showing, and let's show Martin a little bit of what Rick sees, and let's see if they like it. Yeah, that's how deep it goes.
see, I never knew that if
Yeah.
you're next to another person, that it would actually pick that kind of stuff up.
Yeah, and then that's why when people be like, "Oh, they're listening," we had this conversation. It's mostly not even because y'all had a conversation. It's because the person that you were talking to, they probably looked up what you guys were talking about before, and so now that's why it's popped up on your page and things of that nature.
Wow, I bet you've learned a lot about probably more than you wanted about social media and what it can do, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you. So, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you? And how can they follow you? And please give me all your IG handles and your TikTok handles, and how can they follow your positive vibe? You got a lot of good stuff going on, brother.
Yeah, so my Instagram page is Black and Brown Success. And my TikTok is Success is Us. That's it.
Right.
I have a personal Instagram, but I don't use it.
How about do you have an email or anything that anybody can if they wanted to contact you for
Oh
training
yeah,
or
you
anything?
can you can contact Black and Brown Success at gmail.com.
Hey man, Rick, thank you so much for taking your time. I feel like I had you on 30 minutes, but I've learned so much in 30 minutes, and I guess I'll be seeing you in Cameroon sometime soon.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. You gotta come stop by.
We'll stay in contact, and thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your positive message. You're always super upbeat, and I think it's great to have people like you out there pushing a positive vibe. There's so much negative stuff going on in the community. It's
Yeah.
great to have positive people like you that are changing that narrative, brother.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. We'll stay in contact, and thank you for everything and fight on. Till next time, everybody. Thank you and keep learning.